Welcome to Fan4Racing Radio. Fan4Racing Sharon here, along with Jay Huseman and Chris Crichton. And we are here for our championship charters and State of the Sport Hot Topic Sound Off episode number 2535. So, shall we start where we usually start? Chris, I was going to start with you. Are you?
Let's defer to Jay real quick. I got some things going on in the background.
Okay. All Sports All Day is here.
All right. Good deal. Good deal already.
So let's start with what we usually start with, which is how was the racing at Phoenix? We had 4 races with the ARCA West Series and NASCAR's top 3. So, Jay, I guess you're going to start us off.
Oh, I'm going to try and get my page back. Okay. So I'll be clear on something here. What is the question? How is the racing at Phoenix, or am I happy with the results?
How was the racing?
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that. I thought the racing was great. I don't recall a Phoenix race that I didn't think the racing was good. We saw 7 wide in the Truck Series. What more can you ask for, right? And I understand there was a reason for it. But overall, with the truck race, I'll start there. Actually, let me go back to the ARCA West Series. That one I had to read about. So I can't really comment. But again, as far as I understand, it was good racing. Same as the others. So the Truck Series, I did watch all 3 of the championship races. The Truck Series, I thought the racing was good until the end, until it wasn't, like they like to say. I thought some of the stuff that happened there at the end, which, if you will, was bound to happen, kind of caused some problems, even just to the race itself, let alone the championship. But overall, I thought it was good. The Xfinity, same thing. A little bit of a surprise as far as who we saw racing and where when it comes to that, if you will. Jesse Love getting the win of the race itself, I can't say it was a total surprise, but certainly not to that level he won that race, going away. So that was a little bit of a surprise, a good surprise, if you will, and glad to see it. And there too, of overall, that one I felt was like a little bit better. The Cup Series, we saw it all. Again, I don't know what more you can ask for from a race in and of itself. Unfortunately, there were some other things that happened. I don't know that was the Cup Series. I know there was the tire concern. They talked about it coming from practice already. Listening on Sirius XM throughout the day. Don't blame Goodyear and the tire they brought. Okay, again, it goes back to the teams. Y'all are given the recommendations. If you choose to ignore them, you deal with the consequences. They obviously were aware of it. Yeah, they can't change some of the camber and things that maybe would have helped it, but they can the tire pressure, and some of them apparently chose not to. So, and it wasn't the same issue either, because it went from the right side during practice to the left side, or vice versa. No, I think it was left side during practice and right side during the race. One way or the other, it switched back and forth. But again, that is something that teams can control, and I know we've talked about that in the past here. You can't just put that on Goodyear and say they brought a bad tire of that. So again, and that is part of racing, and I'm okay with it as long as the teams and or fans aren't pointing the finger at Goodyear. I'll stand up for them today. But overall, yeah, good racing. I thought it was great. There for the Cup Series. I think it was 3 wide at the end. By the way, for those who don't know, I know I heard this on several areas. Ryan Blaney won the race. If you didn't know, fill that gap in. I think it was, I don't know if it was Chris or Taz put it in there. They said they had to rewind it and watch it. I understand NBC had the Sunday Night Football pregame stuff coming up. A little disappointed in that, and I know that's been a discussion in the past. But I really did have to go back and watch it. I saw where it was posted, and it showed Ryan Blaney, and I was unsure. and go back and watch it 2 or 3 times and see where it was he got him. Because, yeah, I thought it was Brad. But overall, great racing. I don't know if you're on mute, Sharon, but
I just said Brad was second.
yeah, like I said, I definitely had to go back and watch it 3 or 4 times. I'm like, no way. I really thought he had it. I was excited for him. Think about that they weren't in the playoffs. Ryan Blaney didn't get in, but Penske's domination at Phoenix, and I know that'll lead to a different topic. I think that's part of the state of the sport. I think changing the venue for the championship race was a great move. We know we get good racing at Homestead, Miami, and I know there's some others that are in that talk. I think that is a great move, and we'll get to that in the state of the sport. But overall, great racing. You got on mute again.
I got on mute. Only thing I'm from All Sports All Day, he says, the only thing I'm upset about isn't even the tires. That was the team's fault, which Jay pointed out, but the inconsistency in the cautions with the blown tires. Okay, Chris, you went bingo. So you want to expound on that?
It's like he read my mind. I mean, come on. We didn't have a caution for Austin Dillon when he hit the wall. Why is it with 3-second lead, all coming to 2 laps to go, a championship contender hits the wall, and then NASCAR says, oh, wait a minute, we got to throw the caution. I mean, whatever. It is what it is. I've spoken my mind on how I felt about all of this. I was very in tune with Corey Haim. He earned it. 7 wide, baby. 7 wide. He took it there.
That was amazing.
He took it there. He threw him over his shoulder, drove that thing, and he accomplished what he set out to do. And he had to overcome adversity to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, we did not see that Saturday. We saw Connor Zilic all race long trying to catch up to himself. And it was never there. It was never there. Like, it never felt like it was Connor Zilic's race to win. Come on, man. And then I had to live with the disappointment that people were challenging the legitimacy, is that right? Legitimacy of Jesse Love's championship win. He won the darn race. He was your champion. Those other 3 drivers had a chance to beat him, but they didn't. Jesse Love was just as much a part of that Final 4 as the other 3. And I know that everybody wanted to see Zilic. Look, I love Zilic too. I love the kid. And it was so heartbreaking to see him beside his car and a tear running down his eye. And I'm glad somebody caught that, because that's the real emotion. And I think, as I said earlier in my post, like that's what we want. We want to feel emotional, whether it's happy, whether it's sad, whether I want to hit my TV or I want to go outside and yell and scream or whatever it may be. Boo. I mean, whatever. I want that emotion. And that's what these playoffs, that's what this Final 4, that's what it brings. And I can't leave myself disappointed for the weekend. 2 out of the 3 races that I expected to see a winner, they didn't win. Doesn't mean I want to throw the baby out with the water, right? I mean, it's just the Denny. Now let's get to the Cup. Let's get to Cup. That was Denny's race. That was Denny's race. And I don't know what y'all felt, but with 10 to go, I completely changed my mindset. And I wanted to feel what the driver was feeling. I turned everything off in my regular life. I turned all the things off that go through my head. I turned off my social media. And I looked at my wife and I said, if it's true that he wants to win this for his dad, the next 9 laps around this racetrack is going to be about his childhood, about what got him here, about those talks beside the garage or the rides home, Those were the things that were going to go through his mind because he was out to get it. And he got robbed from him. And that's the disappointment. That's the hurt that sports brings. But it's also the enlightenment. It's also the reason we're fans, the reason why we're fanatics. I wouldn't want to have any other. I mean, I would not want to watch the final race of the season and not have some kind of satisfaction of that. If that's where we're going, it's going to be sadly missed, because I've learned to love that there's an underdog. There's a guy who's won all the races this year and pointed his way in, basically. And then there's the other two guys. If we're ditching that, I think we're heading in the wrong direction. And I'm reading All Sports all day, I know, but his initial contact was way harder and more damage than Byron had on Sunday. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure in what he's referencing to. But Byron, instant caution. Dylan, no caution. Mozak in the trucks. Yeah, let's wait 2 laps. What the heck? So weird. But other than that, I mean, you know, whatever. So I'm not a Kyle Larson fan, right? Everybody knows that. I was disappointed that he won. I guess it kind of, you know, the air come out of the balloon all of a sudden. We knew, like, when he took 4 tires and he was starting that far back, it was going to take a miracle. I think that they thought that maybe he was going to be able to pull a Corey Heim there. I'm not sure.
I think that influenced the 4 tires. You know, everybody's ragging on him for, you know, taking 4 tires when everybody else did too. I think Friday night's Corey Heim move influenced that, and they said, hey, if he can do it, we can do it. And it just didn't work.
And it didn't work. And that's the game, right? That's why, right? I mean, there were Blue Jay lovers and there were Dodger lovers the other night, and the Dodgers come out on top. Somebody left disappointed. I don't understand why we would walk away from that. And outside of that, I mean, it was good racing, right? Blaney didn't get the credit that he deserved for winning the race. You know.
I'm not even sure he got acknowledged.
If he had just been in the Final 4, you know, he would be a champion. But he did accomplish 4 wins on the season, so I don't want to take that away from Ryan Blaney.
I think somebody said that was his first time, wasn't it? First time to have 4 wins.
Yeah.
You're on mute, Sharon. You're on mute, Sharon.
Out of 7 races, he had 4 second place finishes. And then finally, this week, he finally won at Phoenix.
Oh, that was, that was the other factor.
We crowned a champion that did not win a single race in the playoff format. Now imagine that. And they say it's flawed and it's broken. How? Did that not just prove that it's not broken? I don't know, man. Of course my heart hurts. Of course I was pulling for somebody. And at the end of the day, they all had the same rules. Look, I said, who's going to bring the caution out? All the colleague cars are already messed up. I asked around. Nobody answers. I said, so it's going to be another Chevrolet driver, huh? It's going to be a Hendrick driver, huh? And then 2 laps later, William Byron brings out the caution. So I didn't think it'd be Carson Hocevar, whatever is Carson Hocevar.
Well, he had a caution too.
I sound like Jimmy Spencer trying to say his name. But that's my take from the weekend. Miss Sharon, what about yours? Susan,
I thought the racing was fantastic. He says similar hits, but next gen is so strong. Looked like Mozak's was bigger from my eye. Then again, could be wrong, but I think they were at least equal. And then going back to the racing, I want to start with the truck series because they raced first. 7 wide racing for the finish of that race. It doesn't get any better than that. And Corey Heim just made up his mind he wasn't going to be denied the championship. If you remember last year, Ty Majeski won it, and he kind of felt like it was taken away from Corey Haim. So this year he was like, it's not going to happen. I'm going to win, and I'm going to win this champion. And he did what he had to do. In the Xfinity series, we felt the full range of emotions. And I mean the full range of emotions. Jesse Love was not expected to win that race. I think most people thought it was going to be either Justin Allgaier or Connor Mozak. Most people probably thought it was going to be Connor Mozak.
Zilic.
So, or Connor Mozak. I can't believe.
Yeah, you got Mozak because we were talking about Mozak on the chat.
Yeah, Connor Zilic. A lot of people thought it was going to be Connor Zilic. So, and Connor Zilic thought it was going to be Connor Zilic. But if you listen to his post-race comments, he said his car just didn't have what he needed to go after it at the end. So he knows that he did everything he possibly could do. All Sports All Day says, truck race, I would almost say, was almost a perfect race. Stage 2 was really dull, but can't get much better feeling at happy hour. I mean, Haim time on Friday night. That's exactly right. It was Haim time. So I just felt the whole range of emotions because you had to feel bad for Connor Zilic. You could tell Justin Allgaier kind of took it in stride, I thought, pretty well. He's another one that he would have loved to have gone back to back and didn't. The other driver was Carson Cavapel. He's got a lot of potential championships in the future, so we'll see more from him. In the Cup Series, same thing. It was a full range of emotions. I don't think we expected Kyle Larson. And in fact, if you go back and listen to the fantasy report that Taz and I did, neither one of us picked Kyle Larson at all. I had Kyle Larson in my lineup, and I took him out, and I shouldn't have done that. But Kyle Larson, I don't think was really expected to do much because he hasn't done much all season long. He's on a winless streak. He had no wins in the playoffs. So why would we expect him to be the one to win? So it was kind of surprising, I think, to me anyway, that Kyle Larson won. There were times throughout the race, and the same thing was true in the Xfinity, but especially in the Cup Series where I thought, oh, William Byron's going to win this. No, wait a second. Here comes Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe might win this. Denny Hamlin's going to win this. He's led the most. He's going to come up and he's going to win this. And then at the end, when it was Kyle Larson, it was like, what? I wasn't expecting that. So, yeah, it was kind of unexpected for both of those series. All Sports All Day says, I feel bad for Zilic only because his Daytona and Talladega was really lackluster. Did he deserve it? 100%. But I would have been more mad if Haim lost on Friday. It's always disappointing when, this is the thing I don't get. And you brought this up about what happened with the World Series. In other sports, we accept that when the number one seed gets unseated by a team that's not even rated or seeded, and they come in and they beat the number one seed. We accept that. We find it exciting and thrilling, but for some reason, NASCAR fans have a hard time accepting it. And I'm not sure why. I think it's part of what we should expect, especially with the championship that's determined on that one race. And I know we'll talk about this later, but I know they're exploring other formats that might include multiple races for the championship. So we'll have to wait and see. But I just don't understand why it's so hard for fans to accept it in NASCAR, but they accept it in other sports.
It's just this year, right? I mean, we've had this format for
a long time,
at least 10
really.
years now, and not all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Mark Martin makes a claim, and the whole industry, talking heads, get behind it to have something to talk about every single day. And you know what? I blame it on the lack of silly season, the lawsuit, and other things factoring in that it was allowed to get to this negative story, because we really have not had very much to promote. We haven't really had very much to say. The car's becoming more and more leaning to the side of the faster teams. We didn't have the diversity this year that we've seen in the past. There just haven't been very good storylines this year, and so it allowed the talking heads to fill their brains with all this nonsense against a certain thing, because there was nothing else to talk about.
Right or wrong, you're blaming the wrong thing. The blame is falling on Joey Logano, because that's who they first determined was an unworthy champ. I'm not saying they're right. I'm telling you what it is.
You got a point.
That's where it started, was when Joey Logano won last year after being eliminated, getting in, and coming back. Even though he won twice after that, that's where it started of undeserving champion.
Yeah, and I can't stand to hear that at all. I would never say that the Giants didn't deserve the Super Bowl because they beat the
exactly. That's the point I used the other night. Was that, again, going back to the racing, if you take it for the race itself, does the fastest car always win the race? Does the most dominant laps led always win the race? No, and Denny Hamlin did, and it's heartbreaking. And I will say this, Sharon and I had this discussion. I talked to my mom this afternoon. Absolutely not a Denny Hamlin fan, but she felt bad for him. I mean, that you do. Okay, I get that. But has that happened in other races? Yes. So that's why I said, that's why I asked if it was about the racing itself. If this were any other race, yeah, it'd suck, but the uproar wouldn't be as big. I apologize for that word, but it's because it is the championship race, and I'll get into that as we get to that topic. But that happens. We saw it on the Cup side, especially, again, overcoming a team, which. Until the end, Byron, they kept saying Byron was the only one that hadn't had to overcome something. And unfortunately, his happened late enough. He didn't get the chance to overcome it. It was over. But we saw Chase Briscoe, and I don't know where he ended up finishing at the final, but he went to the back and had problems and came back, and went to the back and had problems and came back. Just kept coming back. And Larson's team as well, were they up front dominating? No. But they kept on fighting, and when the opportunity presented it, they took the gamble of 2 tires and made it work. For third place. Again, the other cars that did 2 tires, and Brad Keselowski and Ryan Blaney, made it work as far as the win in the race. Whichever one of them won it, apparently it was Ryan Blaney. So again, as for the race, that's what we asked for. That's what fans said they wanted, and they got, and just now aren't happy.
I know. That's what gets me, is everybody complained, and that's why we put together the playoff format. And now that we've got the playoff format, everybody's complaining, and so now they want to go back to what it was. So fans are fickle. They go one way,
Amen.
And then they go the other. Pardon me?
I said amen.
That's what gets me too in all of this. All Sports All Day says, because their sports ain't had so much change about the postseason, delegitimize it. Well, Chicago White Sox threw the 1919 World Series in the same format. LA won this weekend. Petty, Johnson, etc. Different.
It is.
No, it's not. It's a different format because we allow wild cards in baseball now as well. It's like, when I was growing up, we had just moved to the 4 divisions league where, I mean, in 10 years beforehand, we were only American League and National League. We had gone to, I think, multiple. Well, yeah, it was American League East, American League West, and American National League East, and National League West. Then we sent them to 4 different divisions, and created a wild card. Now we have an actual game where it's one game between the wild cards to see who the wild card is. So, it is a different format, and it has evolved and changed. And and Johnson, his championships were all on different formats. Like they were continuously
he did it across all of them.
The format to try to trick Jimmy Johnson, and he somehow found a way. Well, I know but the game 7 I'm at. Yeah, okay, so the game 7, yeah, okay. I see what you're saying there. All sports, all day.
Here's the thing too, though, of when you look at it, and I know football fans and race fans, some of us are both there, but there's some that aren't. Of even college football wanted the playoff format. They didn't like how it was, however you did in the regular season, the top 2, and they went head to head. They wanted a format, a playoff format, which is why NASCAR listened and evolved into that, and I know we're going to go into the championship discussion of formats and whatnot. The morning drive pointed it out. The format did not cost Denny Hamlin. It was the call for 4 tires versus 2.
That's right.
Because that was for the race. And I get it. They thought they were doing the right thing because Hyman done it on Friday night. Like I said, I feel like that kind of is what influenced them was Corey Haim's move, and it just didn't work. I mean, and again, you can't fault them of that because they saw it work before and they thought they had the car. They had the car. I mean, obviously. And again, like I said, certainly that race, he dominated it. He led it. He controlled it. It was his. But sometimes that happens.
On a late caution.
Yeah, I'm not going to go there.
I what you said, Chris. What'd you say, Chris?
And got beat by NASCAR in a late caution.
Oh. Well, he did get a flat tire. He did hit the wall. They had to get that car into pit road.
Yeah, so, I mean, NASCAR had to make that decision of that, I feel. I mean, so, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, all day said he hates the format.
But Denny lost the championship for every reason but the format. It wasn't the format that did him in.
I heard 2 different things, so I don't know which is true. And I know Taz was doing some stuff. If you were to go to the old points, stay at whatever, it would have been Kyle Larson or one said Kyle. Yeah, I heard both. Initially, I heard Kyle Larson. Then I heard Christopher Bell. But either way, it would not have been Hamlin. Hamlin missed a race and was back in points, even with his wins, would have been, I think, like 5th or 6th. So again, if you're going to say, well, we want the old format, but I also say this every time, you can't figure that. These drivers came into this season knowing what the format was and raced accordingly. And that's where, again, I get frustrated with fans being fickle, as Sharon said, because during that 36-point full season, what did you always hear? I hate drivers that finish 5th and are happy because they say it's a good points day. And that's part of the reason we have a new format. Now they don't like this format. I don't know what you want. I give up.
Bingo.
Okay. All Sports All Day says Winston Cup Bell this year's full season. Larson and Winston Hamlin would have finished 7th this year. He finished 5th in points. Bell finished 5th in points. I
think he's saying if you use the old points.
Hamlin would have finished 7th. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Taz had a lot to say about Blaney not getting recognized for the win. He too thought it was Brad Keselowski that won, and then all of a sudden BK had the race won, and then Blaney had the run out of nowhere in the final corners and was ahead of a through-wide finish for second. Blaney also mixed it up with the championship 4, including the top 2 for majority of the race, in Hamlin and Byron. First time Blaney has had 4 wins in a season. First ever
That's
win at
that's
Phoenix.
where I was seeing those stats. Okay. I knew I'd seen
I
them
find
somewhere.
it funny that the record books show that there have been 2 winners at Phoenix that were not championship contenders, and Blaney has now been on both sides of that spectrum. Yep. He won the championship, finishing second to Chastain, which that was the first time ever that a non-championship driver has won. The second time it happened, Blaney won the race, but wasn't the championship contender. Yeah. So some interesting thoughts there about the Blaney situation. But he mentions also that the broadcast never said a thing. Another thing I want to hit on, and maybe I missed it on the broadcast, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Blaney winning the race got highly overshadowed, like on NASCAR social media accounts. There are no videos of Blaney getting interviewed for the win. So nobody even bothered to interview him after he won.
It was unfortunate because I watched that, and they interviewed Larson and then Hamlin as the loser of the championship. And they did mention they were going to go to Blaney in victory lane. There again, you got to go over to Peacock, or as SiriusXM likes to say, we cover it all and talk to everybody. That is one of those where, I think radio coverage does do it fully. And I get there's TV requirements. It got brought up of maybe should have started knowing they had Sunday Night Football and what time it was starting, because the race didn't go super long and they just didn't have the time. I've always felt
like
that
they should plan for that extra time.
I agree. And that goes whether it's NBC, Fox, or whoever's covering it.
Exactly.
If you're going to cover it, give it the time and make sure you get it covered, not, hey, we got to go. By the way, so-and-so won, bye. That's my opinion.
Yeah. All Sports All Day says, so much for making wins matter more in NASCAR.
We'll get to that in a little bit.
They make the wins matter more, but then they don't bother to interview the guy who won the race.
And may I remind you guys that at the end of every Super Bowl, there's like an hour-long post-game show where the owner comes out and accepts the trophy and tries to take the microphone away from the interviewer. And
right.
Yeah.
But they've made time for that in the past. I've watched them, do the whole trophy presentation and everything on TV. We don't see it anymore, and that makes me sad.
It was pointed out of too, they have the affiliates. They could have at least had it go to the USA, so you don't have to switch to the streaming of Peacock if you don't have it or don't like it or whatever else. So yeah.
All Sports All Day says, but they can't really move it earlier than it's starting in West Coast morning, and SNF will always take precedent over NASCAR. What's SNF?
Sunday Night Football. But there again, if you can't cover what you're agreeing to cover, do something different.
I feel like we're being cheated.
I agree.
Where they can set that time, but it'll be an East Coast start time.
What's really funny is when I first read that, I thought it was Saturday Night Live. That's why I was like, what does that have to do with anything?
Yeah.
But that's Sunday Night Football.
I thought the racing overall was good. We didn't cover the ARCA West Series. Trevor Huddleston won the championship. All he had to do really was start that race and participate in the practice, and he had the championship pretty much wrapped up. I think Robbie Keneally took the Rookie of the Year award honors, and that was good. So,
and Brent Cruz won that race, just so you know.
I knew that one there. Won the race. Yeah. It's really amazing that whenever they're in the race, it seems like, the ARCA West Series of the Year, I think so too. They were really competitive this year. And then ARCA, All Sports All Day says, can't move over to USA. What about the Law and Order SVU? What will the 20 people asleep on their couches watching it say? Okay.
A little humor going on. I think he's becoming more like us. We need a face
Well,
to this guy.
no,
though.
again, if you're saying you have another live broadcast of Sunday Night Football, I get it, but at least move it to your partner of USA then versus a repeat of whatever show. I wouldn't have known it was Law and Order, but yeah. They have options.
I agree with All Sports All Day that the ARCA West series was probably the best ARCA series between the three series. They really were competitive. It wasn't tight at the front, but it was tight in like third through fifth. And, I thought it was pretty exciting to watch.
It was up until
the beginning.
Yeah, it was actually, I think, up until about 3 races. I know Huddleston led it all year, but it was tight up until about 3 races to go. And I will say this.
Yes.
It's not 36 races, but they have a season-long points total for 11 or 13, whatever races they do.
12 races.
Oh, so I missed it. I went one high and one low, somewhere in there. That is the one argument of you could use on the case of a full season point system is the West Series, and I say it's been that way for several years on the West side. I know he's chiming in here now. The East Series,
remember it being good since 17. This was the best in a few years. The East Series, though, might as well make it 6x6 for it at this point. 72,000 yearly purse is outrageous. And see, that's all the stuff that came out, I think, in the in all that released public information.
Yeah. But anyway, overall, again, racing overall, I thought so. If talking about the champions themselves, I think there's some discussion to be had, and I can certainly understand why fans are asking for a change. I have never been a fan of the one race winner take all. The chase, the 10 races and points built up over that, I was okay with that. Because that still did add some competition throughout. The proposed 3-3-4 format, that's where I'm leaning and think kind of is the direction we're looking at. I don't think NASCAR will go back to the 36 full season points.
I am really
I know that comes under their state. Yeah, I know that'll come up in the state of the season. Right, so. What's our next topic then?
Anybody else have any other comments?
I'm good.
Okay. Let's go ahead. I didn't have my list up here like I normally do.
Oh.
And I apologize for that.
I got to find it back. I had it up. What did I do with it?
Okay. NASCAR increasing the minimum age requirements and maximum lower tier race number. That's the next one on the list. You want to talk about that one?
All right. No, Chris, you go first. You passed on the first one if you want.
Yeah. I'm not sure why the rule was there in the first place. We've got 14-year-olds in late models winning races. Trey Mills, a perfect example. Tyler Reddick was in a late model at 15 years old winning races on the Lucas Oil Late Model Series. I don't know. I know we held back Kyle Busch just to give him another year.
I think that was when it changed, was with Kyle Busch.
Right. So I don't know. NASCAR's going backwards on a lot of things. That it's really, it's going to open the door for some a younger talent to come into the sport, whether that's good or bad.
Well, it's going to be 16, I think, for the Truck Series, 17 for the Xfinity, and 18 for the Cup.
Just shows NASCAR don't want to turn down no money. That's for darn sure.
And then the other thing is the maximum number. I think they can go 8 in the Xfinity. Is that what it is? And
no, 8 in the trucks. I read that wrong.
8 in the trucks
initial.
and 10 in the Xfinity. Okay.
Yep.
And they were both got bumped up from 5.
What are you gonna do? Okay. What are you gonna do at the end of the year when you only have a truck series team or an Xfinity series team that maybe has 1 or 2 wins out of the season, racing for the playoffs to win a championship because
Owners.
because Xfinity drivers were put aside while Cup drivers come down and raced in their series and took up most of the wins. We've already been down this route. I don't know why we're going backwards. You know what? We need to just go ahead and line up the lap cars on the left side and line up the lead lap cars on the right side. We need to start racing back to the caution again. I mean, let's throw away pit road speed so we can fly down pit road. I mean, where are we going with this? We're going backwards.
I know
the
why
good old
we're
days.
going to it.
All right,
Is that
go ahead, Sharon. I know you're going
to. I'm sorry, I jumped in there. Go ahead.
No, you're all right.
You're probably going to say the same thing I'm going to say. Go ahead.
I don't know. No, mine is, I don't know if I have the answer. I have my opinion on it. The age requirement, I'll start there. I don't know that I see anything wrong with it. And I'm trying to remember why they changed it when Kyle Busch was, if it was a safety thing. But when you look at it now, we have these younger, talented drivers that are ready to move up. We've seen that. So, yeah, I don't know, Chris, you're saying it's about turning down money. I don't know if it's money, but they're certainly opening that door of, in this era, it's the younger drivers. It used to be you were 30 before you got to Cup and got your break in Cup. We've seen Joey Logano, age 18. Jeff Gordon was 20s, I think. I don't think he was as young. So, yeah. Huh?
Yeah, he was like 20, right around 20.
Right, 2021. So I understand that side of it. I think the fact that it's 16, 17, 18, they're trying to go through the process. ARCA, trucks, Xfinity, Cup. That's my thought on the age requirement side of it. Yeah, I got to get back to where I can see the comments now. On the number of races, okay, what is it? Let's see. What do you got there?
California made some sort of law against 16-year-old Kyle Busch racing in National Series. It got changed to 18.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And he says, I think that happened. They talked about that in the Rowdy documentary.
Okay, cool. Thank you, All Sports All Day. That's why I say I remembered it changed with Kyle Busch. I didn't know that I ever actually heard the reason, but
well, the other part of that is that Kyle Busch is making agreements with sponsors. And one of the sponsors' requirements is that Kyle Busch race in some of these other series.
Right.
So that they can get the exposure with him being in that series.
Right.
And so he said he had to turn down sponsorship because he couldn't do any more than just the 5 races. So that was one of the reasons, I think, for the change. And attendance.
That one.
They tend to get more attendance when drivers like Kyle Busch are in the race, and Kyle Larson and some of these Cup Series drivers.
Yeah, that was one. And Chris, you asked about why it was there in the first place. That was when Kevin Harvick and Carl Edwards were actually winning both series or had a shot at it, was part of the reason for that change. Yes. I thought 5 was a little low. I thought 7 was a good range, but they went down to 5. They're coming back to 8 and 10. The only thing I have concerns with then is you have what we see, and here's where I said it was going to be my opinion, the rotation of, call it an all-star truck or car, and we just saw that with Eric Almirola and Joe Gibbs Racing. They've been doing that for years. My thought is the truck series, Dodge, because they're going to come in with 5. They got 3 full-time drivers. The other 2, I think, are going to be a rotation of some Cup drivers or whatever. I'm not saying they're showing them that favoritism or whatever, but
well, they want their expertise.
Right. And I understand that, but I also think then you are hurting the development of the younger guys to get the opportunity, such as Brent Cruz, who, got his starts this year, Connor Zilic when he was doing it part-time and whatnot. So that's one of those that I think there's some good and bad with it. I am not opposed to it. I understood limiting where you can't run for the championship and you'll run the full season. So having a limit, I was okay with. 10 to me is a little high, but I thought 5 was a little low. Like I said, I thought the 7, and I know the Truck Series have less races. That's why they're at 8, not 10. I think that's a good balance. I'm okay with them up to that. But like I said, what you're going to see then is a team, and I'll use Joe Gibbs Racing just because that's 10 per driver. Well, through 30 races, they got 4 different Cup drivers. They can cover an entire season with it. However, the rules still apply. You can't have a Cup driver in the final penultimate race. I messed that one up this time. Yeah, thank you, Sharon. My mouth was just going too fast. And then the playoff races, and then I believe maybe the Dash for Cash, I think, is also another one. I didn't see that listed, but so those rules are still in play. So that does bring it down to even less numbers of they're available that they can do the 10. But I'm okay with it.
Too, Dash for Cash, Jay, is an Xfinity program, so they may not have that next year.
Well, and that's true. You're right. And maybe that's why that wasn't tied in. If not, I do think that the program will stay. It may not be Xfinity, but I think somebody else will step up. But we'll have to see. But you're right, Sharon. You did hit on some very valid points as to why increasing the revenue, the attendance, and yet the fans is one, as well as the drivers. And we have every driver we talked about, they learn, when Kyle Busch or whoever comes down there, if they can't beat them, they're tucked in line behind them, watching them. They're asking them questions in the garage, and most of them are willing to, share and teach. So
they talk about being a real thrill when they finally do beat
when you do. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there is good and bad to it. I see some good things from it, but I also see some negative drawbacks because you are taking away opportunities for, let's just use Justin Bunn Sr., again, with them going for that owner's championship. Eric Almirola, I know he's not full-time anymore, but he got the nod over that weren't supposed to be his races. And he admitted that. He said, I'm not even supposed to be racing here at the end of the year, but they wanted that owner's championship and they picked me and I got to go do it.
Exactly. So, yeah, you guys all bring up some great points, but that's what I think it is, Chris. And I understand what your point is, too, that I think fans get more frustrated with it, though, than the drivers themselves do. Because, and there might be a few drivers that complain about it. There have been in the past. But I think overall, the drivers that we've talked to have all said they love it when Kyle Busch or another Cup Series driver comes to the series and races. And I remember Eric Jones saying, if you want to be the best, you've got to be able to beat the best. And that gives us a chance to do that. And Jay, you probably remember him saying that.
Well, and another one and this has come from several.
I'm like water. I want the least
a
resistance.
Local guy, so it's Bond Senior. Okay.
A driver that tells you that they want to get beat by somebody else is a lying driver, and they want the easiest way. They want to be able to stack the wins on their favor. So when they tell you that they like to get beat by somebody else, they're just doing the gentleman thing with what racers say that they like. But in reality, they want to win every race that they compete in. So if that means
it's not that they like getting beat by them, they like them down there because, again, they learn from them and it validates them when they do beat them. That's where they said how do you know if you're ready to be a Sunday driver? You race against a Sunday driver.
That's right. Yeah, and they like following in his tracks. They want to see what line he's driving. They want to see how he deals with different things. So they follow behind him so that they can learn those things. These are things that the drivers are telling us. Okay, we're not making it up. This is what they've told us.
And they're making it up.
Chris is saying they're lying. They're just being polite. They're lying.
Yeah, they're being polite. Yeah. I love
Okay.
to I love to get my butt kicked by Kyle Busch every week that he shows up. I love it. I love knowing that I'm going to bring it home second today because Kyle Busch showed up and whooped our tail. But we've not seen that as of late. We haven't seen that as much as of late.
Yeah, that's true.
Sometimes there's such a difference between the Xfinity car or the O'Reilly car, is
Right.
what we're going to have to get used to saying,
Oh,
and the
yeah.
Cup car that drivers really have a tough time transitioning back into that type of ride, especially when you're talking about some of the guys that are not the Kyle Larsons of the world. But how many
I was gonna
races
say,
did Kyle Larson run? No,
we
not too
got to
bad.
change it. It's no longer Kyle Busch, it's Kyle Larson, and that I think maybe plays into a factor of the drivers. With Kyle Larson's comment, I want to come down here and embarrass them and show them, that I'm better than they are. Maybe they want that opportunity to beat them, and they go, "Who's embarrassed now?"
Yes, exactly. And I don't know, maybe they are lying, but I didn't get that impression when I talked to him. I remember Daniel Suarez saying that he asked Kyle Busch questions all the time. He said he'd call him at all different hours and stuff and ask him questions and trying to learn from him. So he was a student of Kyle Busch.
As we get more into the Xfinity series not representing Cup teams, I think that is going to help kind of bridge that relationship. But what the unexpected consequences is probably going to be is you're going to see the Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing come back into Xfinity series. You're going
I
to
hope
see
so.
Hendrick back in the Xfinity series full time. You're going to see the Cup teams started because they're the ones with the resources. They're the ones with the money, and they're not going to want to loan their drivers out to others. And the comment that some people are going to be able to come down from Cup to race those other truck series races, not if they're under contract by Chevy, Ford, or Toyota. So that limits your pool very quickly of who's going to actually be able to race from the Cup Series in one of those those Ram pickup trucks.
We've seen it before of a manufacturer. They'll authorize it again, especially to the trucks, because there is no real correlation other than seat time. The Xfinity, even that. Sharon said it. Even the Xfinity now is different enough where that you can't really transfer anything directly, but it's seat time, confidence. We saw that with William Sawalich.
Chevy doesn't want colleague in the same race shop as another team, so I just don't see that happening.
I think that's foretelling that they are coming to Cup.
It's kind of a wait and see what happens there, but you're going to see a JJ Yaley or Brian Vickers. I mean, I don't know what other guy we're going to pull out of retirement.
Casey Kane's coming back to race time.
Hey, and in a Dodge, there you go.
Oh, yeah, back in the Dodge, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
I admit. That is one of my favorite. The Mountain Dew car, Casey Kane, and the Mopar barbed wire car. Those are two of the best paint schemes ever.
Yeah, Dodge had some slick schemes.
Yep. Okay, so anything more that we want to say on that topic?
17-year-olds are going to be racing in Cup in the next 3 to 4 years. Watch and see.
Yeah, out of there, because think about it too. They ran into some sponsorship issues when you have and that was Joey Logano couldn't go up and draw his Bud Pole Award because it was in the beer, so his crew chief had to come do it. And I think NASCAR did the right thing there. I know a lot of fans were like, "Well, that's stupid." No, I think they did do the right thing there. With that.
Yeah, a lot of this has to do with sponsorship money and bringing more sponsorship money into the sport. So we'll see how it plays out. I'm not against it until they give me a reason to be against it. Once that happens, then we'll go from there. Okay. The next one on our list is Matt Crafton's last race in the Truck Series. That was kind of sad.
Yeah.
Because he's been there from the very beginning of the Truck Series. He raced the first race in the Truck Series, and now he's raced the last race that we know of so far.
It's full-time. They said that very repeatedly. It is stepping away from full-time. And one, again, he's saying he wants to spend time with the family. He's got his kid racing with Brexton Busch, and I can't think of his name right now.
Well, his
but
daughter is racing.
Daughter, there we go. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's his daughter. That's why I can't think of his name. No. But so, there is a reason for that. I will say this. I almost feel like, as much as I hate to say it, Matt Crafton might be one that made that decision a little late. We see guys like Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick stepping away while they're in their prime and not tailing off and, out there. I hate to go back to Darrell Waltrip in his final years in a non-competitive car. Unfortunately, Thor Sport Racing this year was not competitive even with their top teams. Matt Crafton, it's been 2+ years. Maybe should have made that decision a little earlier. And I like him, but it wasn't there no more of the dominance that he was at one time, and being as competitive as what we were used to seeing. So,
Chris?
Comes a time. Yeah, no, I mean, it comes a time. I think maybe he made that choice a little late too, though.
It was said in cars, the industry decides when you're done, not necessarily you. That's what Kyle Petty voiced over to Lightning McQueen when he was questioning how you could be forgotten so easily. The sport does move on, and they're always looking for younger talent. Crafton has had an exceptional career. He made a decision somewhere in the middle of his career that he was going to show his strength where he could dominate and where he could be influential, and he's done that in the Truck Series. But his time's been up, and it's been up for a couple of years, and we've allowed Bill Elliott to ride around the racetrack in some unknown team's name, and we've allowed Terry Labonte to do the same thing. These guys figured out quickly. Well, those guys were a little bit later. Dale Jarrett found out quickly, like he didn't want to do that. He didn't want to ride around in junk. He didn't want to be a starting park. He was a champion. Now others, so was Terry Labonte, so was Bill Elliott. But Crafton, had great truck owners. Thor Sport was always there for him. If I had Matt in front of me, I would say thank you for your service. Thank you for being the ambassador that you were to these young drivers. You will leave an imprint on this sport because you earned that. And anytime I see the 88 from here on out in that truck series, I'm going to think of who drove that 88 for a very long time. That was Matt Crafton. So his presence will be known for a long time. I was disappointed in his post-race interview because, in a time of negativity, it seems to be that's all that fills our timelines. I wanted him to talk about how he enjoyed the ride, not how he regretted the last season or something to that. He kind of left us. He left us with a sad song, and felt like something was taken away from him. And I'm not sure how you could sum up that long of a career and just base it off of what happened this past year. But that's a racer, and you have to respect it and you have to love him. Matt will be deeply missed. He deserves a place in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. It's a NASCAR Hall of Fame, not just a Cup Hall of Fame. He's been that influential in the Truck Series. So, adios, my dear friend. See you around at a racetrack.
Yes, indeed. I'm thinking too, was it Matt Crafton? I think Matt Crafton was the first driver in the Truck Series to win back-to-back championships. Or was that Johnny Sauter?
Ooh, no, I
think
think
we had a stat guy.
I think that was. Hold on, it's all day. I'll get it for us. He has one of the 2019 no-win championship. I think Crafton was the first to go back to back. I think you're right, Sharon.
I think Crafton was the first to go back to back. So to me, that will be part of his legacy. Maybe his message does good, though. NASCAR is killing these truck teams. Got to talk to a bunch of MHR members at NHMS in September. They said everything Crafton said about how hard truck teams have it. And there probably is some truth to that. But I think that the younger drivers that are coming in are a lot more aggressive. And to me, that has been one of the biggest challenges, is toning down their aggression in that series, especially for drivers like Matt Crafton, who have learned. Crafton was the first to be back to back. I was thinking that.
Good job, man. Thanks, I was Sports All Day.
Yes, thank you very much. And I do think that that plays into why it's so tough in that series right now. It takes a while, and I think they did that this year. I think for the most part, I think they did tone down their driving a little bit, and they started driving without so much aggression. They're still assertive, if you want to say. They still put that forth, but not to the same degree. They've learned to temper that aggression, I think, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, and I think that might be one of the reasons Matt stayed another year or two of when I said maybe he should have chose to walk away, was to try and be that guy, that veteran that can help lead the younger guys. And I think he said, hey, if they ain't listening, I'm done. You know, again, I know he's got other family things going on. And whenever a driver or crew chief or anybody decides to walk away, that's their decision. You got to respect it. I think that his presence will be missed. Again, it's just stepping away from full-time. Maybe that grind is getting to be too much or whatever. But you're right. I know he is one that has been vocal about that, Sharon. You're right. And trying to help corral it or correct it.
Temper it.
And temper it. And it didn't seem to do a whole lot of good. So like I said, maybe he said, hey, I tried. It's your problem now.
And I don't know, Chris, what do you think? Is that one of the things that they're supposed to learn in the truck series, is how to temper that aggression?
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the, learning stones that they would have to figure out in that tier of the series. It's learning how to win. Like, this is one of the biggest things that I enjoy the most about being involved in racing, is watching these young guys or these people that are new to the sport, watching them learn how to win. Most of them have to figure it out. Most of them, that they're going to win because they're there, but they mess up and they lose the lead or something. And then they have to really figure out how to beat you. And I think that that's some of the most important things that you can learn from that series, is how to win, how the critique of winning, how to handle yourself in situations. Did that answer your question?
Yes, that does. Did you have anything more you wanted to say? And that is one of the, before you say anything, let me say one more thing. That is one thing with the age requirement that makes it hard for them to learn it, because they're not of an age that they really understand that yet. It's not part of their wiring at that age. So that might be one of the problems that they will encounter with bringing 16-year-olds into the truck series.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, no, we've seen that with a couple of them. We talked about their maturity level. Well, again, have they gone through some other ARCA or top level series of that, and again, of respecting veteran drivers or the sport as it is. They talked about that. This is how the truck garage handles things, the Xfinity, and then to the cup level. So you're right with that, of as you get younger ones in there, they don't have that as deep and long of learning curve with that. But that's where I said that Matt Crafton not being there, you're going to lack that from that aspect. I know we still have a couple, but obviously Crafton was the veteran. And I think about, Jeff Burton, he got the nickname the Mayor. There were certain ones in the garage that, again, they weren't going to come up and push you and shove you. They were going to come over, put their arm around you and say, hey, buddy, let's talk about this.
And Justin Allgaier did that in the Xfinity series last week.
Yep.
With Sam Mayer. He went over and kind of put his arm around him and was talking to him about, there might have been a better way for you to handle some of that stuff. Chris, any other thoughts that you have?
just that Ben Rhodes is now the ambassador of the Truck Series. Like
that's who I was thinking and going to put it
that
on.
part of his career where Ben Rhodes is like the
and he's not even 30, I don't think.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, I guess in some terms exciting and
Well, it's a developmental series. There's things that they need to learn in that series.
yeah. Yes, for sure. My biggest concern is whether or not, and I don't mean to compare us to Formula One, but Formula One, you have to, there's racing license and you have to compete to get those racing license. And if we want to jump back real quick, I guess this is something I should have brought up with the 16-year-olds is the 16-year-old deal is fine as long as these kids earned it. And it's not, Zaxby's, the owner of Zaxby's funding John West Townley to go race when he has no idea what he's doing. Like, there's plenty of talented race car drivers out there that I think could fill those seats at 16 years old. But the biggest concern is, what about the ones who aren't? And I think that's something that I feel like we kind of missed on that. But with the Crafton deal, and you need, Ty Majeski, he's a real race car driver. He's a real race car driver. Stuart Friesen, he's a real race car driver. And we're leaving it at the hands of those guys now. Not so much Ben Rhodes. Ben Rhodes is a truck champion, but I'm not sure if he has the experience to be an ambassador.
Just because he drinks in his post-race championships.
Yeah,
I thought it was fun. I thought it was funny, but yeah, I thought it was funny.
He was enjoying the moment.
We can't take Ben Rhodes serious here, so how can somebody there take Ben Rhodes serious? And maybe we see a different side of that now that he's moving into that next level.
Maybe he's maturing.
Maybe so.
Okay. Anything else we want to say in regard to any of this?
Matt Crafton,
we'll have to see how it develops, but yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, most definitely.
Thank you for all you've done.
Yes. And I hope he enjoys his retirement. Okay, Sam Mayer's penalty. We never really got a chance to talk about that. So this is our chance to talk about Sam Mayer's penalty. Was it a penalty, Chris?
Yeah, he started Christmas early. Started Christmas break early, a week early. Got to fly out to some cool island. Yeah, didn't hurt him too bad. He'd probably do it again.
He probably didn't want to be in that championship race anyway.
Yeah, he didn't have nothing to race for, so exactly.
Yeah, I guess maybe that was you and I that talked about it offline, Sharon. I said certainly understood where NASCAR was coming from. They've said we don't want to tolerate this. We're not going to. So yeah, they were put in that position, especially. And I think he knew it. Like I said with his interview afterwards, was it truly a penalty? And I say this of both sides, if you will. Yes, because it's his car, his team. That he drives for, and he wasn't in the car. But as a whole, he was already out of the championship for. So do I really think it was a penalty? Really not. I mean, any driver you can't race this weekend is going to hurt, and I'm sure the owner maybe had some issues with it, or the sponsor that it was supposed to be with them. And I said it was an opportunity for Ryan Sieg, and it was going pretty decently until it wasn't, unfortunately. But no, overall, I'm not sure it was. With Austin Hill and his penalty, that was a penalty. It cost him long term.
Exactly. Don't
know if this one does or if it has any effect or changes it. We'll have to wait until next season. Like I said, that would have to be something Sam Mayer would have to answer. How much did it hurt him to not be in that race? Because again, he could have gone out and won it and then say I should have been, had I made it, blah, 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 I would have been champion, like Ryan Blaney. Don't know. And like I said, any racer that talks about it that we've heard from or, is telling us the truth, they said, yeah, it hurts sitting on a couch watching somebody else drive your car. hopefully it did, and hopefully it does bring about change, because I think a little bit was needed.
Chris, did you have anything more you wanted to say in that regard?
No, I mean, it like y'all said, it didn't really have much effect. A true penalty. It's crazy how one penalty in each setting can affect somebody differently. Look at you go back to Joey Logano's second chance last year with Alex Bowman getting thrown out. That was a penalty that's detrimental. Then you have all the little Hendrick penalties all year long, and Kyle Larson still wins the championship.
Yeah,
then you have
was really not happy about that. You had to bring
Yeah,
that up.
why'd you poke that bear, Chris? Why'd you poke that bear?
The penalty, but it was severe. It's the same penalty, but the severity of it changes.
Yeah,
Austin Hill is detrimental to his season, to his championship.
absolutely.
Yeah, they should have made
this
that
isn't
more
gonna hurt.
detrimental.
This is not going to hurt him at all. He's got a ride secure for next year. He got a week off early. Would you be mad if you got the week off early, like after a 34 race grind? I don't think you and I would have any problem at all going home a week early if we weren't racing for anything.
Right.
Well, I think your comparison with Austin Hill was an excellent one, because it hurt Austin Hill.
Oh yeah.
And it was the same type of a penalty. It should have hurt, I think, Sam Mayer more than it did. And All Sports All Day says, I don't even think Jeb did enough to justify Sam dumping him. And why Jeb? People actually like him. It only hurt Sam. And I would agree with that. I mean, he had his opinion of Jeb, but that doesn't mean that everybody agrees with his opinion of Jeb. He seems to think they do, but I don't think everybody agrees with him. And I think, sometimes when people say things, it reflects more on them than it does on
Always.
the person that they're trying to diminish. And I think that's the case here. I think it reflected more on him. And then All Sports All Day says, Colleague leaving Xfinity and taking Ryan Sieg with them. Felt so bad for him. That guy can't get any luck to go his way. He just filled in. Wait a second. They're taking Ryan Sieg with them?
Yeah, I'm not sure. You're going to have to explain that, All Sports.
Yeah,
I don't know why Ryan Sieg is.
Ryan Sieg raced in the 41 car this weekend as a replacement for Sam Mayer, but I'm not following this one.
Oh,
it was a joke. Okay. That's why we're all like,
yeah. Man, you had me for a minute. I thought maybe Sieg was newly named to took him out of the race. And
they took him out of the race. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Gotcha. Okay, now we get it, All Sports All Day. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe Ryan Sieg was going to Colleague in the trucks with Dodge. I was like, really? I hadn't heard that.
I was like, wait a second.
Got me all excited. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
The one thing. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were done, Sharon. No worries, man. No worries.
Okay, so Chris, anything more you wanted to say? And then we'll go to Jay.
I'm okay.
Okay, Jay.
Now I was trying to think of what I was going to follow up on something you said. Can't think of what it was. Oh no, it was what All Sports All Day said of just like any incident, when you see it on the track, they say, okay, let's go back a lap or two. Part of what Sam Mayer's issue had carried over from Talladega and throughout this season. So there was, again, do we remember it or see it or not necessarily? But he did make reference to that. It wasn't just about that one race. Because, in that race, I'm with you. When you watch what happened, I was like, they both bumped each other. No harm, no foul.
Like it was
but Mayer did reference it. It was carryover from other incidences throughout the year. Again, do I feel he was right in everything he said? Absolutely not. As far as that, by any means. He's entitled to express his opinion, but no, I do not agree with it.
Okay.
Jeb's a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, potential new format for the championship title.
Here we go.
And
All
I know
right.
Taz had a lot to say about this. Does anybody want to take up what he had to say? Or I can.
I can't pull it up. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have another device.
Okay. Then,
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Sorry.
whose turn is it to go first? Who wants to go first?
All right, I'll go. Again, do I want to see it go to 36 races? No. Do I want to see them go away from the one race winner take all? Yes. I was never a fan of that. And I think a couple of the situations this weekend showed that. Does that change whether or not Connor Zilic would have won? Don't know. Because again, you can do the stats, and I know that's what Sharon's going to share. But again, you got to remember, if they know what the format going in is, they're going to race accordingly. They're going to plan accordingly. You know, the morning drive, Pete Pistone and Mike Bagley talked about this. That is absolutely meaningless because these crew chiefs, the drivers, they plan for what they know, you know, so they race accordingly. So starting going to this, and this is where I tried to stay away from when we were talking about the racing at Phoenix, the truck race. I feel bad for Lane Riggs because if that caution hadn't come out, Lane Riggs would have won the race, not as a championship contender. Heim would have won the championship. Okay. When the caution came out, I felt bad. One, Heim might not win the championship, which I felt he deserved. Worked out. Okay, they got away with it. And some of these comments come from social media and what I heard on Sirius XM today. They got away with it. It worked out okay. On the Xfinity side, you know, Connor Zilic, same boat. I mean, with the season he had, how do you not declare him the champion? Because that's not the way that you have to win that race. You know, again, you could win in the Cup Series 35 races and finish second and technically not win the championship. So do I think a change is needed? Yes. And again, I'm going to tie in a little bit of, you know, NASCAR's looking at it of more emphasis or points or something with the wins throughout the regular season, which I personally feel get credited enough. Others don't. Maybe something coming there. But I do like the idea of when we talk about playoffs in most other sports, the Super Bowl aside and the NCAA bracket, that's a one win or lose, you're in or you're out. But every other sports that has a playoffs, it's a series, whether it be best of 3, best of 5, best of 7. So I am in great favor of, I say, a 4 race. And, it, you know, again, one at every style of track, if that can be worked out logistically and whatnot. I'm very much in favor of changing up the championship race so that one team, and I know you go back to back in the day, it was, you know, Jimmy Johnson, it involves all his best tracks, Martinsville, Low, at that time it was Lowe's, Charlotte Motor Speedway. They changed it. Jimmy Johnson still won. They changed it. Jimmy Johnson still won. And that's what tells me the top teams are going to plan for it and adjust accordingly, and the cream is going to rise to the top. I don't think whatever stats you're going to bring, and I know Sharon's going to share Taz's, and he had some good info there, but is it really going to truthfully would have happened that way? I don't believe so, because like I said, you're going to race differently according to what you know the format is. So is it fun to look at and think about? Sure, you know, but I am in favor of at least, I say 3, 4 is okay. 5 might be a little much, but again, I go back to the chase, 10 races, and you know your points for reset. Everybody went after those 10 races and points. We had some great competition during that, other than when Jimmy Johnson. But again, Jimmy Johnson was doing Jimmy Johnson things, winning and beating everybody, you know. So I think something like that will hopefully please both sides. Those that want to keep a playoff format, but also show a little bit of consistency of points over several races. Hopefully it pleases most people. I know you're not going to make everybody happy.
Never.
Right. We agree on that. We're not supposed to use the word never, but you're never going to make everybody happy. That's a guarantee.
Exactly. Chris, what are your thoughts?
NASCAR fans ate the rat poison, and now they're going to have to live with it. There's Jesus, their savior, Kyle Larson, just won a championship and pointed his way in the entire playoffs. So we still reward competitive spirit. We still award consistency. And now we're going to change it. So, race fans, you just took the rat poison. How can you celebrate Kyle Larson being a champion when he did not win a single race in the playoffs? It's never been done before. We thought that would never happen, right? Never, I don't know, I think it was working just fine. I think we're crazy as all get out, but for trying to change something. I mean, it just shows with this format that you don't even have to win races to win a championship.
But he did have wins on the season. Yeah, he did. You're right. No, I mean, you're right. He did not in the playoffs.
Let's go with what Kelly Earnhardt said. It was just not fair for Connor Zilisch to win all of these races, and then it come down to a one-race affair where he was not crowned the champion. Okay, Kelly Earnhardt. Well, you know what else is not fair? When Dennis Herb Jr. goes out there and leads 49 out of the 50-lap feature and breaks on the last lap, and the second-place guy takes the win. But that's racing. That's what we do.
To me, the one race wasn't fair for Denny Hamlin. He led how many laps out of the 312? Over half, and was
but it was a strategy call. It was
exactly.
a strategy call.
At Phoenix.
Yeah. No, that's what I said. I could people that, and as much as again, I'm not a big Denny Hamlin fan. I appreciate him, but people that want to argue against the playoff format and Denny Hamlin not winning it, they got a case. I mean, that's it. As well as Connor Zilisch. I will say this before you get to his stats there, Sharon. The momentum of Kyle Larson. I said that we saw him he was not winning races. I get that, but he was running up front and consistent again. Connor Zilisch, when you look at it, since his streak of top fives or whatever ended, had not been at his best game over the last several races. To include, and you mentioned it, Jesse Love beat him, in that race. But that is where I go to give it 3, maybe 4 races. All right, you got the stats ready, Sharon?
I'm getting ready. I've got his comments ready.
Yeah.
I don't really think this is going to change the outcome if you go to a 3 or 4 race format, though, at the end, because those guys were dominant. Even still, there was when we did that first I think it was a restart somewhere mid race. Wasn't all 4 teams on the first 2 rows?
They were. They were. It wasn't at the very end, but it was towards the end.
Works.
Yeah,
that was one of the things I felt so good about with this playoffs.
Yep.
We had the cream of the crop at the top playing for those championships.
They were just on different tire strategies.
They were on different tire strategies, and it was a strategy call that lost it.
Yep.
And it's unfortunate, but if they really look at it, they'll realize that. And a lot of times they don't see that bigger picture until they're a day or 2 removed. So they'll see it. Okay, this is Taz. Taz is a member of our Fan4Racing crew. He helps with the fantasy reports on Fridays and fills in occasionally for people who can't be here. He says the playoff format, in my opinion, needs a consistency, whether that be we go back to a 10-race chase format or do a 3-3-4, or if NASCAR does a one-off playoff race, it should be the first race as a wild card for seeds 9 through 16. So he is advocating for us to start out at the beginning of the race to seed the 9 through 16 drivers in a wild card race. So to me, that sounds like it would be kind of exciting, but that's just his that's my first blush at it. He also says, I'm not a fan of a run race championship when every other round is basically like the best of 5 series. I'd like to see a 1-3-3-3, and that's the one, what do you call it, a wild card race to seed the 9 through 16, or a 3-3-4. The wild card, and I keep doing this, a wild card, the wild card playoff race, I already said that. Or maybe he already said it. He already said the wild card playoff race would be the seed for the 9 through 16 in the championship grid. The bottom 4 drivers to finish the race are eliminated. I'm all in for the emotion part that Chris has mentioned, but I'd like to feel the emotion in a series type deal for racing, because to me, it makes me feel like that if my driver lost game 1 in a best of 3, then there's still a chance in game 2 or game 3. Another thing I want to hit on, and maybe I missed it. Oh, that's the Ryan Blaney. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. These are Ryan Blaney. Not done with my full research, but so far in terms of who would have won the championship in the current playoff era under the 3-3-3, under the 3-3-4 format. But this is what I've done so far. And this would be the 3-3-4, so 4 races for the championship. The 2014 would have had Hamlin as the champion by 1 point over Harvick and 5 points over Newman. Do we know who was the champion in 2014?
That was what I was going to comment, that he wasn't saying who did win it. While you're doing that, I'll see if I can pull up a past champions list and we can compare.
Okay. In 2015, you would have had Kyle Busch as the champion by 2 points over Harvick and 8 points over Jeff Gordon. That was 2015. In 16, would have Logano as the champion by 7 points over Kyle Busch and 17 over Hamlin. And in 17, would have Truex as the champion by 58 points over Kyle Busch and 64 points over Harvick. 2018 would have Harvick as a champion by 7 points over Kyle Busch and 51 points over Truex. Excuse me. My research done on the 3-3-4 playoff method, he continues. 19 would have.
Okay,
Truex
Sharon,
Jr.
wait up. Sharon, wait up. Go back to 15. That was where
14.
he started, right?
Who
Okay,
was it in 14?
It was Kevin Harvick in 14
Okay, it would have been Hamlin.
by 1 over Harvick. Okay.
In
20. It was Kyle Busch.
Okay, so that would have been the same.
Okay. 2016 was Jimmy Johnson.
It would have been Logano, the champion by 7 points.
Okay. 2017 was Martin Truex.
Would have been Truex as the champion by 58 points.
Okay,
over
so
Kyle
far
Busch.
it's 2 for 2, the same. Okay. 2018, is that where you were up to? Or 19? 2018 was Joey Logano.
That would have been Harvick as the champion by 7 points over Kyle Busch and 51 over Truex.
Okay.
In 2019, would have been Truex Jr. as the champion by a tiebreaker over Kyle Busch and 21 points over Harvick.
Okay, and it was Kyle Busch.
Okay. 2020 would have Keselowski as the champion by 2 points over Hamlin and 4 points over Elliott.
Yeah, we can't take that one away. That was NASCAR's most popular driver's win, Chase Elliott. Don't try and take that one away from him, man. Come on now.
Okay, I know Larson won it in 2021.
Yep.
It would have been Larson as the champion by 72 points over Elliott, 96
Okay.
over Hamlin. In 22, would have had Logano as the champion by 25 points over Chastain and 33 over Blaney, who was
It was Logano because that was the even year, so that was Logano anyway.
And that's as far as he went.
It was almost dead even. The one I counted as kind of it was Kyle Busch, but you said it would have been Truex in a tiebreaker. So honestly, you're looking at almost half of them are the same result.
Yeah.
I mean, what does that tell you? You know,
which is exactly what Chris just said.
Yeah.
Isn't that what you just said, Chris?
Yep.
And I'm sorry, my fingers on this thing.
Yeah, I wondered why that thumb came up.
I don't mean to hit the emojis. They just come up and I accidentally hit them. Okay. So, yeah, that's kind of interesting. That was interesting research.
Yeah, it was about dead even of half and half. It might have favored a little bit more of a different one by a little bit.
But that's why we're here now, because they've continued to say if was a fifth, this would be. And you even have drivers like Christopher Bell who feel cheated because it's not the old format. And that's just sad. I mean, we're living in the past and we've never let it go. I hope that we continue to do this with this format so that the other guys who go to a championship in the next few years can see what they missed out, and they feel just as bad because they missed out on the old format that they do on the new. I mean, let's keep it going. Let's not lose energy here. Let's make sure either we're going to be Democrats and Republicans now. So, I mean, you know, it's right. There's no other party. You either have to be for or against.
Well, here's the thing. And I agree with what All Sports All Day is saying here, but they would race different in different formats. And that's the thing. These drivers are going to learn what the format is and race accordingly, whether it is whatever the format is. They are going to, the team, the crew chiefs, the drivers, they're going to figure out the best way to win the champion, no matter what the format is. So, and we've just shown that half of the time it would have been exactly the same result had it been a 3-3-4 format or the 3-3-3-1 format. So it's going to be interesting to see what NASCAR comes up with. To me, we have the best of both worlds now. We crown a full season champion, the regular season champion, based on their total points for the season. William Byron this year was that full season champion. And I don't know why people don't see that. We do crown a full season.
And they get bonus points for it.
And they get bonus points for being the full season champion. And then we have a playoffs. And to me, the playoffs, since we've done that, has been 10 times more exciting than watching somebody who we know who's going to be the champion 4 races before we hit the end of the season. And we've had those years where we knew who the champion was going to be. And it was not exciting in those last 4 races. This format, it is a lot more exciting. So the drivers are going to figure out whatever the format is, they're going to figure it out, and they're going to do what they have to do. Winner take all has got to go at the least. Winner take all.
The one race. Yeah.
You're talking about the one race.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. We've got to have more than one race determine the championship. If you're going to have 3-3-3, it's got to be at least 3 or 4 on the last championship round. But it's going to come out the same. Half of the time, it's going to come out exactly the same as it does when we have the one race format. So.
I'm typing here in response to them. I've always been against the one race deal, and that's where I think Christopher Bell stems from, because he was one of the first ones I said it on his behalf, because he had a parts failure. And I get it. I mean, that happens in a race. I get it. But a parts failure in one race during the season doesn't cost you the championship. Here it is. And I do understand that. But I will say this, based on the stats, and I know we're taking into consideration that's if they race the same. That
it depends on what your definition of legit is. I think all sports all day.
Yeah,
yes, it is legit because it is the race format. Everybody played under the rules of that particular race format, which makes it legit. Now, some fans don't think it's legit because it's not their driver that won.
All right. What qualifies most deserving?
Most deserving driver.
Yeah, exactly.
It comes down to the same thing. If the number one seed gets upset by an unseeded team, does that make that not a good win? Not a good.
See, told you we're blaming Joey Logano, Giggles Logano. I forgot you called him that.
Zilich not winning this year, Giggles winning last year.
Hey,
I'm a Busch fan, so I have zero bias here.
Calling Logano Giggles, obviously, I think there is some bias, but I'm with you all sports kind of against the one race, but again, barring you race a little bit differently, but one really didn't change other than, for example, maybe Denny Hamlin or Christopher Bell that year. So I'm in favor of the 3-3-4, and it sounds like that's the direction NASCAR is leaning. Again, it's a compromise. I don't believe they're going to go back to the full points, but that seems to be what everybody else wants.
And all sports all day again, it goes back to the same
I'm going to giggle now.
No, but 17th in points, Giggles winning the championship, can't begin to call that legit. But if it's under the current rules and format,
exactly,
it is legit.
I disagree with that. Yeah.
Current format.
By that standard, what Chris is saying, Larson didn't win a race in the playoffs. The 10 races of the playoffs. Is he legit? And by the standard or by the format this year, he is. Did it?
Look at what
hurt
Jimmy
Hamlin?
Johnson
It hurt.
did. No matter what the format was, Jimmy Johnson won the championship. He did what he needed to do to win under that existing format. Chris, you have anything to chime in here?
No, I think we're beating a drum a dead drum. I don't know. I think that all these different doesn't really matter. We're gonna crown a cup champion. We're gonna crown these other champions.
And somebody's going to be unhappy.
I think that we went for a Game 7 mentality, and for some reason, fans have been turned off by that. Whether or not it's the ones that are the loudest or the most miserable. I've always heard that the most miserable are always the loudest, and I think that that's kind of where we're at. Those people complain about everything, and as I said earlier in my comments. The talking heads found something in a year where there's really not much to talk about, and they took this thing way too far. I don't think that NASCAR had any intention in changing the format when they decided to move it out of Phoenix. They were moving it back to Homestead to give a different place for that Final Four Game 7, mentality. So,
and I think
all this has just come upon.
I think Go ahead.
Larry Mack and Danielle Trotta both said that, in their comments at the beginning of this, that why would we go backwards? And that's where we've taken this.
I see that. I agree with that.
And he admits, and I give you credit for this, all sports all day. He says, maybe I just don't like Giggles off the track for the record. I tolerate him sometimes. And I think that's true. A lot of fans don't like Joey Logano. And so when he wins a championship, the way he won the championship under the existing rules, they didn't like it. And so that means that the format is bad.
Oh, I can't.
Go ahead.
I can't think of his name. Who was with us last year that was anti-Logano?
Oh yeah, that was Kraft.
I can't think of his. Yeah,
I can't think of the first name. Tommy Kraft. Yeah,
we agreed. He was a Dodge fan, but yeah, he was anti-Logano and anti-Texas.
Yeah, you had a comment, Chris.
Yeah, if Briscoe hadn't won at Talladega, Ryan Blaney would have been in that spot, and Ryan Blaney would be our champion.
Oh,
but
yeah.
If it was a fifth, we'd all be drunk.
Yep. Well, and that.
And that's the way it goes, though. I mean, it did happen the way the format was written and the way the format was laid out, and the drivers raced it accordingly. And was he upset that he didn't make it? Yeah, probably. But he came back and won that championship race. He says, well, this was the worst TV ratings year in modern history. Maybe we should go back. Just saying, forwards ain't looking too purty right about now. And I got to say this.
A lot of that has to do with not being able to find it.
I was going to say, I think there's some other factors with that.
Situation.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that. It's not just about who won it.
Yeah, it's not about the format, why people aren't watching it. It's because people don't have the USA. They don't know where to go. They don't have Prime Video. And I know you're not trying, listen, we'll enjoy the other opinion. Not trying to be negative,
Absolutely.
But those Trotta comments piss me off in a few months. And I understand if you don't agree with it, it probably does. But what they're saying has a lot of history, I think, that goes with it. Because I guess a lot of fans don't know what it was like when we were in that full race championship. And it wasn't fun. It wasn't exciting. It was boring. It was downright boring.
The 92 championship was supposedly the greatest championship ever. And it was won by a single-handed guy who refused to leave the shop. Had
Underbird.
2 race wins on the season. And Davey Allison would go out and win 35% of the races that year. Yeah. And we celebrated the underdog. As you said earlier, Sharon, it's unreal when you have the number 1 seed lose to the 16 seed in the NCAA March Madness Challenge. It's celebrated. Look at Butler go.
It's celebrated.
Look at what was the college in Chicago that went with it was a small college in Chicago that went a few years ago.
Loyola, Duke.
Loyola, yeah.
It was where the little old lady was the mascot of the team. Who was that?
Loyola.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That was over.
Dude. It was a big deal. Only in racing do we want the best to win every time.
We thought it was the best thing that could happen. Yeah.
I thought.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You can finish that.
We just thought it was the best thing that this team just came up out of nowhere and beat these. It was the David and Goliath thing that we celebrated that happened. And for some reason, the fans in NASCAR just don't see it the same way. I have a hard time understanding it because it's celebrated in so many of the other sports.
Bagley and Pistone had some stats this morning of everybody screaming about wins using Connor Zilic not winning the championship, where if Heim hadn't, Jeff Gordon in 92, I don't remember Bill Elliott's year, Rusty Wallace. That's where you want to do your stats. Go back and look at the year. If the wins is your determination of every year, the champion are they the driver that had the most wins? And Kenseth was exactly. That's what brought it about.
They came up with the format because he had no wins for the whole season and won the championship.
No, he won one race. Matt
won
one race.
One race. Okay, he had one.
And Labonte is the one that had 2.
Labonte
in
had
what,
2 in 96.
96. There we go. Almost said
That's why they
86.
came up with the format, because Kenseth had that he was consistent all season. He had a very consistent season, but he only had one win.
Yeah.
And people were upset about it. And that's when NASCAR came up with the playoff format.
And in the playoff format, it was almost Ryan Newman that did it with no wins, because he ended up second. But the guy that beat him was the championship contender. I know that one almost brought down the house, but it didn't happen.
Yes. I think it has more to do with the TV rights deal as to why the attendance number.
Yep, Matt Crafton in the Truck Series, we talked about that.
It doesn't. Matt Crafton, no wins. That was this year. He hasn't had any wins.
Yeah,
no, 2019, when he won the championship, but didn't have any wins. But again, did people rebel it? No, it was Crafton.
Oh, okay.
That was Crafton.
It was Crafton. He's right.
But there again, Crafton was a favorite. Did everybody rebel against the system then? No. Logano does it. Oh, he's not legit. We need to change it. I still feel that
the driver is. I think
and
Kyle Busch won the very first one.
Huh?
Kyle Busch won the very first one with missed 11 races on the season.
That wasn't the first one, but
nobody was like, we got to change it. We got to change it. No, he was like, look at this guy win a championship, missed 11 races.
And had to get in the top 30 points, but he came and did, what did he get? I think he had 6 or 7 wins on the year. But you're right. I thought it was great. Everybody else was like, oh, he shouldn't be in it. He missed 11 races. Look what he did in the 29 others, though. I mean,
exactly. I don't know. It's really amazing. Matt Crafton had no wins, but nobody said a word about it then.
Exactly.
But when Matt Kenseth had that one win and on a full season point system, won the championship, everybody was up in arms about it. You remember that?
Yep.
Yeah.
I will say this. I said I was against the one race deal, and I'm in favor of the 3-3-4, but looking at the stats Taz gave, and it's about the same anyway. Yeah, I don't know that it's necessarily going to improve or change it. Honestly, I will admit that it doesn't appear to be all that different.
So Crafton was top 5 in points. Logano wasn't even top 16 last year going into the playoffs.
Hey Sharon, we got a new one.
Yeah, we got somebody new here. E. James VR50S. I think on effects of the ratings, one big thing is the car. The next gen does bring good mile-and-a-half racing, but restrictor plate racing and short track racing are horrible. Spec car. That's an interesting input, but I think they improved short track racing this year with the tire changes that they made.
Can I jump in here? This is one of those of not the whole spec car, but the placement of the numbers. I know this was a few years ago. We went to that of, does that really affect the racing? Well, guess what? So for some fans, it apparently really did. I didn't like it, but it didn't turn me away from racing. Maybe that did. So maybe you're onto something there, James. Maybe it is, you go back to the adage, and NASCAR's tried to bring that back, win on Sunday, sell on Monday. Well, if the car don't even look the same, and they've addressed that. They've allowed a little more freedom with the styling and the look of it. You may be onto something. I don't think it is the format necessarily, because we've kind of been on that downhill trend. And if we had the answer as to how to fix the ratings, we wouldn't be here on YouTube. We'd be in an office with NASCAR saying, hey, pay me. I got your fix.
That's true. Chris?
But that is a good point, though. Thank you for chiming in.
Chris?
He hit the nail on the head. There's so many issues that have gotten us where we are. It's not the format. It's where you can't find the race, the spec car. When we went to Talladega a few years ago and they had the very first debut of the next gen car, I noticed one thing about all 3 cars sitting there next to each other. If you covered up the emblem, you couldn't tell them apart. I mean, there's no relatability. But I'm not going to sit here and badmouth racing. I love racing. I don't want to badmouth.
Exactly.
But there's a lot of reasons why we're where we're at. And I don't think most of that reason is because we've had a playoff format. I think that there's a whole lot of other problems that have led into this. And there's those that just want to go back to the old day because they feel like that was when racing had something and it meant something. But I promise you, when you look back at those old photos, you can without even looking at the sponsors know whose car those are, what team they were, how long they've been around. We don't have that anymore, y'all. It's gone.
Yeah, that is something that has hurt. I think the sponsorship model has to change in some way, and there has to be identity for the drivers, because recently we've tried to find, we're lost looking for the cars that we're familiar with on the track. We don't know, well, what color is his car this week, and you're trying to check out what color the car is. So I do think the whole sponsorship thing has a lot to do with it too. It's taken away the driver identity with certain colors, with certain brands and everything else. It's kind of sad.
I want to jump back in there, and I think you did it. There are a couple of things there, Chris, you said of certainly with the, again, of say I identify with the Dodge Charger, just for example, or the Ford Mustang. I think that is part of it. The one thing, and Sharon I thought it was going to go in that direction. Yes, you have the sponsor identity, one sponsor, and you identify with that. But also then, and this is, again, you gotta find a balance. As drivers get sponsors and they're doing sponsor commitments and sponsor engagement, where's the fan engagement? I think that is a big thing. And again, I think NASCAR recognized that. They're encouraging it and changing it back and bring the drivers back to the fans as well as the sponsors. I know you got to make the sponsors happy, and that's great, but also you got to engage with the fans. And I think that is a big part of it.
And I understand what he's saying about with the Jamie's ARC. I think a lot of people had Jimmy Johnson fatigue. They stopped watching because they knew who was going to win.
That was a good one.
So I agree there. I just think the chase for parity, this is James again. I just think the chase for parity, we've taken so much from the driver with this car, but they are trying to give some things back with this tire.
Horsepower's coming back.
We saw that in play at Phoenix. Larson took the 2 tires, Hamlin took the 4 tires, and it made a difference with who won. So they are trying to put more back into the driver's hand with the short track package and with the tire changes that they've made on that short track package. All sports, all day. What doesn't NASCAR have anymore? Nationwide stars. Everyone knew Junior, Earnhardt, Petty, Gordon, Stewart, etc. Nowadays, no way. What happened to these stars? Format limited, start powers, ability to win. Limited start powers, ability to win. Star power, okay.
Yeah.
Ability to win. Okay, so yeah, I think that we don't have the stars that are coming up through the 3rd and 4th generations like we have had in the past. Chris, did you have something to say? Chris?
Yeah.
I'm good.
Oh, okay.
I think what All Sports All Day here is, and I will say this, again, Mom at the time wasn't a race fan, but if you said Dale Earnhardt, she knew who it was. By getting the parity and, not the same driver, one driver dominating and winning races and championship, that one driver, one star, the star power he's talking about, because now you have a different driver winning every week. You don't have that one standout. So I kind of get that. But also, and I'll go back to my mom.
We have new stars coming.
Right. You got Corey Haim and Connor Zilic. She doesn't watch the trucks or the Xfinity. So when they get to Cup, she doesn't see them as a star because she hasn't been watching the other two series. Whereas if you're following along, you know they are the next upcoming star.
Even the ARCA series.
Exactly. So that, I think, is part of it, of seeing these guys develop into the stars, be invested in them, so that when they get to Cup, you are behind them.
That's a good point. I know.
Love you, Mom.
Okay. Let's see. And is there other opportunities to give more, put more into the driver's hands? NASCAR's working on that. And here's the thing, we've made this point so many times, is that NASCAR is ever evolving. They are never going to be perfect. They are always going to disappoint some fans. They're always going to make other fans happy. It is a no-win situation for NASCAR. Always has been, always will be. And what I've learned over the years that I've been a fan is allowing NASCAR that opportunity to evolve.
Right.
Because they will evolve in the right direction if given the opportunity. And All Sports All Day says they were scared of diehards, so no Jimmy fans leaving, but the people who entered the sport saw superstar Jimmy. Don't think they were complaining during the 5 in a row run. Jimmy fans weren't complaining. Okay. Anybody want to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, what he's saying is, there was a certain group of fans that weren't upset about Jimmy Johnson winning, and
Right.
then there was those that supposedly got turned off from it. Look, I don't think we lack star power. We've got Kyle Larson, who's represented in the dirt track world and around, and we've got Shane Van Gisbergen,
Queen,
who's representing a whole nother continent. We have Daniel Suarez, who comes from the south border. We have plenty of potential to create. We got Christopher Bell. The Christopher Bell Kyle Larson rivalry has never ignited. Like they are dead heat rivals in any other series that they go race in. When they show up at midgets, they are the rivals to each other. When they go sprint car racing, they're the rivals of each other. You get them to Cup, and all of a sudden nobody connects the two. I don't get it. Chase Elliott, he is a superstar in the sport. He has that legitimacy. So you can only have 4 or 5 famous drivers, right? I think I just named 5.
Yeah.
There are star powers in the sport. NASCAR just fails to recognize them for that.
Yeah, it says, but does the average Joe know Kyle Larson? No way.
Who's the average Joe?
One of the things that used to happen is a lot of these NASCAR drivers used to be in the commercials. I remember some of the commercials.
That's another aspect.
And they were kind of funny commercials and fun to watch. That's how people got to know who those guys were. And that's how they became superstars.
Kyle Larson's just not relatable.
Not to the sport, not to the greater U.S. and to people who don't watch the sport.
I
was known whether you watch the sport or not. Do we have stars like that?
I have to disagree with that, though, that he's saying the average Joe, because I think that Kyle Larson being, Chris mentioned, coming from the dirt side, racing the Chili Bowl and all that, I think it brings more to the sport than we've had in the past. I think one of the things was that when you're looking at comparing, say, and going back to Earnhardt, in that era, your fan base was the Carolinas. Earnhardt was from Carolina. Now you're saying it's a nationwide sport, but the driver is from a region. So I think it's a little bit different that you can't really compare that era to this era. When you look at it, Earnhardt had built his name. Gordon came in of what they call the heyday, the 2000s into about 2010. And that's when NASCAR went national. So it hit its peak at that time, but then it kind of sizzled, or I don't know, fizzled is the right word, but now everybody
leveled out. It
There you
leveled
go,
out, and
right.
now they're exploring how do they regain
Bring that back, yeah.
Now, James says, if the mods to the car don't work next year, I'm not opposed to running the Xfinity car for short tracks and super speedways and next gen on the 1.5 miles, but I know that's a pipe dream.
I'm glad you're aware it's a pipe dream, James.
Yeah.
They were
It's a
trying
nice
to go away
idea.
from that. Yeah, no, they were trying to go away from that for cost of, you know, a super speedway car, a road course car. They tried to go away from that again to try and help the lower budget teams so that you didn't have only 5 teams that could compete.
That's why we saw more road courses, because if they're going to invest in a road
Well,
course
that's
car.
true.
Let me
Go
ask you
ahead.
guys something real quick. Michael Waltrip, a perfect example. 10, 15 years ago, you could not get away from a Michael Waltrip commercial, whether it was Aaron's Dream Machine or
That's
Napa Auto
true.
Parts. Where's Chase Elliott in these Napa Auto Parts commercials? Where is he? Where's
I
the
see
Napa
Brandon
know-how?
Jones in the Menards commercials and Joe Gibbs, but yeah, we don't see
Brad Keselowski with the half off. I can't think of the company name. The half off. Cut everything half off. That's a good one.
Yeah, there's some good examples.
Taylor.
But yeah, there used to be a lot more, I think, of that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like the Xfinity car, but it is.
Go ahead, Jared.
I understand that a lot of people like that Xfinity car, and that's why people like watching the series. But again, I think each level of the series is a different learning opportunity, a different development opportunity for the drivers that are advancing through the series.
I don't have the stats, but and again, I know there was a purpose with the next gen car, parity, cost, all of that. Maybe it's not working as great as what they thought, and that might be part of the TV ratings. I'm a Larson fan of how he drives. All right, see, I like that, James. All right, good deal. Like Kyle Busch in his heyday without the attitude. Yeah, you're right. Kyle Larson don't carry the attitude.
Okay. I've got a different one up on the screen, though, Jay.
Oh,
nobody can see the one you're talking about.
I got you.
Thought this guy was from Tennessee.
Oh, yeah, there we go. You're right. Ross Chastain in the different circles, Busch Beer camping one. That's a good one. You're right. That is a good one.
Okay, and then it was a long time. I was a long time Junior fan. I became a Larson fan because of how he drives, like Kyle Busch in his heyday without the attitude.
That's the one I was reading. All Sports All Day has a point there. It says the Menards commercials aren't shown in the Northeast, at least.
Oh, that's kind of funny.
I was going to say,
I don't get them.
But we see the commercials. I see the commercials. I see the Brandon Jones commercials down here, but we don't have Menards this far south.
Yeah.
Oh, what about in the Northeast? They must not have them in the Northeast either.
No, I think that's primarily Midwest. Primarily, yeah.
Yeah. That started in Wisconsin. Remember Paul Menard? It was his family.
Yeah. I think they're expanding, but again, their exposure for the Midwest stores is still through national platform of NASCAR.
Right. Can't wait to go to my first Menards. It is an experience going into Menards. I don't know. Have you guys been inside of Menards?
I grew up in a Menards coming from Minnesota, so yeah.
Okay. All Sports All Day, we're going to miss you. Got to head out. Right. Thanks to you, all you guys for all you guys do, and have a great rest of your night. And for the record, this weekend was awesome. Thank you, All Sports All Day. We appreciate your input. Yeah. And, it's okay to disagree. We hope we're being respectful to you, for sure. Even though, we see it a different way. Yeah,
I was going to say the same thing there, Sharon. There were several. Yeah, hopefully so. Hopefully, like Chris said, see you next year. There was a lot I agree with him, but there was a couple I disagreed, and that's okay. That's part of it. There's 36, 40 race teams out there. That means you got 36, 40 different opinions.
It's good for us to represent, all sides of the spectrum here. So, and James, we're really happy that you've chimed in tonight as well. We hope you continue to do that. longtime Junior fan.
Yep.
I remember Junior in his shy days, and I really like how we've watched Junior grow up in this sport, and I've really liked the person that he's become. I really have. That whole family with Kelly and Dale Jr.
Yeah, I was really, like when my heroes retired, I was reluctant at first seeing them on the broadcasting, whether it was Peyton Manning or Dale Jr. And, Dirty Mo Radio really didn't get going until his retirement. And I was like, man, I'm just going to have to hear this guy all the time. And then it seemed like it was all, a love story of Dale Earnhardt. And then all of a sudden I started seeing the Dale that we have today. And that was not, I don't think we were prepared for that, because Dale had always been a shy guy, and
He
you kind
was
of
so
expected
shy.
him to want to get the rest of the story with the guys who molded his life and his career. But then when it started expanding outside of that, and now, it's like, ask Junior. Like, that's what we need to do. We got to ask Junior. Junior, what do you feel about this? And Junior took
Exactly.
up for Jeb Burton today. I don't know if you guys heard
I'm
that. And he was
proud of
all
him.
he was
Yeah, he has
adamant
been
on
all
taking
along.
up
Yep.
for Jeb Burton, saying, look, this guy's felt with a chip on his shoulder that he never got the opportunity Sam Mayer had, that he's never got the opportunity to not go out there and have to beg for money to race a race car. So, yeah, when you put a donut on his door, it means something. And he's
It
going to
means
get
a
you.
lot.
Yeah. So he's probably the guy buffing that thing out.
Exactly.
And then that's the open wheel that I like out of Dale Jr. That's where I'm glad that we have somebody who will speak from the other side of the coin.
Now, before you go all sports all day, I want to tell you, we are going to try to do once a month. We're going to come back and do Hot Topic Sound Off in the off season. So we'll be out in, well, this is November, December and January. And, then we'll get into the role of every week when the racing starts again in February. So, just stay tuned, because we are going to. Last year we had so many hot topics we couldn't cover all of them at the start of the season because so much had happened, and we know there's going to be so much happening during this off season.
Oh yeah, this
So
off season is
that's why
going to
we
be a
thought
lot. Yeah,
it's going to be important that we do it at least once a month in the coming months in the off season. So. Okay, he says, okay, then I'll try to hop on. That's awesome. And same thing with interviews. We'll probably try to do some interviews during this off season as well. So I wanted to mention that before he left, so that he'd know that that's
yeah. I didn't want to say it. That's the one I was thinking. He's got it. Go ahead and put that one up, Sharon. We know we're going to have one then. Yeah.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting. But I think we saw an example. All these reporters were coming out saying that the lawsuit's going to be settled before the Phoenix race, and it didn't happen. So now Denny Hamlin saying there is no settlement on the table. So it's hard because there's so many people coming in and chiming in with different things. And I do think a lot of that is leveraging. So we'll see how it plays out. We'll see how it plays out in the end.
And there is November 12th is another meeting. I can't. Date.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of the right word.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't think of the right word. There you go. Another mediation. Yeah.
Yeah.
But from what I understood, that was to agree more upon how they would handle December. But there's still hope. I don't have it, but there is still hope. I just don't have it.
Yeah. Well, they have agreed on some things as far as the procedures and rules of the road and all of that.
Permanent charters.
I hear you. I think NASCAR did a poor job of transitioning its fan base to the new stars from Junior, Stewart, Gordon, Johnson. So much change so fast. And that is true. There has been
absolutely
a great deal of change. And I remember there was an outcry about that when it was happening, that there was too much change all at once. And I think there is some truth to that.
And NASCAR admitted that if from certain aspects that they went too hard after the new fan and left some of their roots and core fan base, the older generation, if you will. Not to say any of us are old, but Steve O'Donnell has said that, and they've admitted that, and that's why what they're working on of bringing back North Wilkesboro, and what's the other one? I'm missing one. Going to tracks like Bowman Grave, Rockingham. Yeah. Thank you. So yeah, they did admit a mistake, and they're trying to fix it.
Chris, you were saying something. What were you saying there?
I'm not sure. I'm tired. I'm ready to go to bed. I've had a long week.
Okay. I hear you. We are hitting the 11:15 mark. Well, 11:15 for us, 12:15 for the East Coast. And some of our
but just
fans...
a couple of days ago, it was 12:15 now. So that's kind of...
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I haven't adjusted yet.
Good point. Good point. Okay. So we didn't get to all of our hot topics. I'm sorry about that. We've had a lot of great discussion, though. State of the Sport Conference, Kyle and Samantha Busch filing a lawsuit against an insurance company. And the Cope family says they're going to return next season. Charter details were made public. So any quick thoughts on any of that?
What was the Cope? That was one I didn't get to as far as getting any information on.
They just said that the Cope family is planning to return for the 2026 season.
Derek Cope or Ernie Cope or?
Well, remember he had a couple of daughters that were racing as well.
So okay.
Derek Cope's coming back?
Well,
I think it's more the daughters that were racing. He had a couple of daughters that were racing.
Yeah, I didn't see or find out. Was like I said, I was trying to get.
He won one race, two races.
Well, I was going to say, he did win a second. He did win a second. Hey, that's one of those of
maybe they're regrouped.
35 years ago.
That was part of Earnhardt's legacy of But again, give him credit. He got the win because he was running second behind Dale Earnhardt when Earnhardt had the problem. Yeah. Was that the year he hit the bird? Was that okay? Yeah, hit the bird.
Wasn't there a gopher or a squirrel or something one time?
Yeah, he had a flat. I know that.
Yeah, the flat was a 1 year. Yeah. But I thought the bird and Cope was the same year.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead. We'll kind of table some of our other topics, and let's go around the horn here. Chris, I know you're tired. You want to start?
Yeah, it's been an amazing season. Thank you for allowing me to be here. It's been a transition from the years of Big Sweat, racing with Big Sweat, and then Race Chat Live. Not having my co-pilot, my crew chief, my go-to partner, Taz Taylor's been kind of tough on me this year, but it was so amazing to get him brought on. And so that he can enjoy the experience that I'm still getting to enjoy, just unfortunately not together. We've got one more race left this season. It's the Street Stock World Championships this weekend. It's a 3-day affair, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We practice Thursday, race Friday and Saturday. It's $8,000 to win. Hopefully you circled your calendars. And they've added something, the Jambalaya is the 21st and the 22nd of November. Jambalaya 100, it's down at Pike County. Kai Kelly, if you guys have heard about him, he's a former street outlaw drag racer, has gotten involved into dirt track racing and bought his home track down in Magnolia, Mississippi, right outside Macomb. So those are some exciting things going on. You can find Kai Kelly on YouTube and just look up Kai Kelly Racing, and you can follow all the updates. And look, I'm a strong believer, people like this can really help the sport. And Kai Kelly is a household name to a lot of people, and if we can tap into that exposure, we can bring new eyes and new faces to the sport that we love. And drag racing is a multicultural sport. And so there is a lot of different eyes that can be brought over from a connection with people like Kai Kelly and Bobby Ducati and Scott Taylor. And who knows else, maybe JJ the Boss will go buy him a Memphis Speedway or something like that. And we can just get all this going on. But thank you, Miss Sharon, for the opportunity.
Well, we hope you
Jay,
come back next season with us.
We've talked so much, about.
Yeah. Yes, we have over the years. We've been together for a lot of years.
Yeah, we have
Chris?
for a long time. Yeah, it was kind of a reunion. Like Jay and I have talked many times. Like, why don't we get together and do something? And here we are. So you just got two old boys from Mississippi carrying the show. So I do appreciate the opportunity and the love and whatnot. And it's been awesome working next to you, Jay, and thank you, Miss Sharon, for the opportunity.
Well, you're very welcome. And we'll keep you posted on when we decide to do this during the off season as well. Okay. Jay. Oh, is Chase Howard going to be at your track?
I'm not sure. I haven't heard that.
You have heard that?
That would be interesting if he is.
No, I haven't heard it yet.
Okay.
He'll be in the area. I think he'll be back in the area. I don't know if he's racing anything around here. Trying to think what sprint car action we got yet to come this year. But I want to reiterate what Chris said. Thank you, Sharon. I know this year has been a challenge, and you have certainly stepped up with it with the YouTube thing. I know we got up to, didn't quite hit triple digits in our first year. We got, 90 subscribers, I think.
Yeah.
I'll give a shout out here to James VR50S, as well as All Sports All Day. He's been on for several weeks. I know we missed him a couple weeks.
We had some comments from CYTY54.
That was another one. Yep.
Some of the comment areas of our videos.
Greatly appreciate that and hope that continues to grow. So look forward to next year. And I don't know what you're talking about, Chris. I don't know who watches Street Stocks. This guy.
I think me and you are some pretty big street stock guys. Man.
Oh yeah.
Yes, indeed. I would say so. Okay, and I'm Fan4Racing Sharon. I'm on Twitter as Fan4Racing Site, SITE, and on Facebook as Fan4Racing Blog and Radio. We do have a website, fan4racing.com. I get all the recaps up there and the NASCAR from the NASCAR Wire. And we have our YouTube channel, Fan4Racing Radio. And thank you, everybody, for bearing with us. This was our first season. We lost a lot of viewership from our old radio show on Blog Talk Radio by moving over to YouTube. And we're trying to rebuild again. So spread the word is all I can say, and help us kind of expand our base here. We appreciate it when fans do interact with us. We try to make sure we hit on everyone's comments. And, tonight the comments got us a little bit sidetracked, but I'm okay with that. We had some really good comments.
Yeah, absolutely.
We had some really good comments tonight. So we appreciate that. And so stick around with us. We will have some more interviews. In fact, we did interview Trevor Huddleston, the ARCA West Series champion for this season. We interviewed him earlier today. I will have that out on the channel in the morning by 9:30. That's 9:30 Central Time. And it's a good interview with him. He talks about all the support and help that he's had and what the championship means to him. He's been after this championship for a lot of years. And so for him to get it this year was a really big deal. And his dad is Tim Huddleston, who used to be a NASCAR racer. So watch for that interview coming out. We're going to try to get Tim Huddleston on the show too. So okay, so with that, guys, I think we're ready to say goodnight and call it a day. It's the end of the season, but we're still going to be here. And so watch for other shows popping up here and there. And I'm looking for ideas for next season. So if any of you have, excuse me, if any of you have any ideas for next season, we welcome your thoughts because I've already got some ideas on how we might streamline a few things.
Looking forward to it and had a blast this year.
Yeah, it has been fun. I get to see who I'm talking to, not just here.
Right? Yeah, there you go.
Okay, everybody, enjoy. We can't hear you, Chris.
Oops.
Come to Why Not this weekend, buddy.
Come to
All
Why
right.
Not. Anybody listening, come to Why Not this weekend. It's a do not miss event.
That's right. We had 253 cars for the Fall Classic. Did I tell
Is that
you?
what the total car?
Whoa.
Yeah, I knew it was over 200.
That's
That is
crazy.
fantastic.
Wow.
It's getting big. Are you guys going to the Snowball Derby?
It's on my bucket list. If somebody gave me tickets, I would be there with bells on.
Well, it's
He was
coming up.
he
I
was
know
talking to
Sal's
you.
been-
He was talking to you, Sharon.
Well, I'm sorry. But Sal's been
Can we
going,
get
I
media?
think.
Can we get a media clearance?
Yeah, I could probably get you a media clearance, but you'd have to get me some interviews and articles for the website. If you get a media clearance,
I got
the
this guy
price is
Chat
articles.
GPT that works really good for me. He's a hard worker. I'm giving him a raise next year.
Okay, well, the thing is that's the price for a media pass. You got to have some articles for the website.
Sounds good.
Interviews. Okay.
I know a little something about that kind of stuff.
All right.
I know.
I
I know
like
you had asked me that, Sharon. That is, I think I looked at it of the same weekend as the Dome. So I'm gonna spend some time at. Yeah, it's the Dome weekend, and
Okay.
I am going to the Dome.
Going to the Dome. Okay.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, I appreciate you guys. You guys have been fantastic. I couldn't do this without you. So you're a big part of Fan4Racing Radio. So thank you so much for all that you've done this season as well. Each and every one of you, Taz, Sal, Chris, Jay, you've all been instrumental to our team this year. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
We enjoy it.
Okay, everybody. We'll see you down the road.
Bye.
Goodbye.